How do you know if you have an encounter with God? I've been praying and nothing happens for me. So there's somebody saying, I'm trying to reach out to God. I'm looking to make that connection. I'm searching for that kind of transcendent happiness, but I feel that I'm not getting anything. What do you say to somebody who feels like that?
I would say, first of all, be patient. What is of consequence and the way God generally works is if you have consistency in your prayer, God is going to come with some kind of consolation in the long run. Now, some people, they say, well, I'm praying and I'm praying. Now, sometimes those prayers are prayers of petition. I say them all the time. And God does answer those prayers. Maybe you're not feeling anything, but you'll notice that sort of this conspiracy of divine providence is taking over something in your life, that somehow doors of opportunity are opening or something is happening that really makes a difference in their lives. But it's very subtle, because remember, God is not going to interfere with your free will. Mm-hmm. God's not going to pour a consolation upon you that's going to interfere with your free will. He may protect you from desolation. He may protect you from emptiness. So what I generally tell people is, if you're just starting off in your prayer life, find something that's manageable. Like a rosary is a good way to start. Or maybe even just saying the rosary, right, with Mother Angelica on EWTN. Right. Or just take out the breviary, or the Magnificat, right, which is a wonderful resource which you can get online or sent to you basically almost free of charge. And this resource, you just kind of do the daily Psalms, but be patient for a while, because what God is trying to do is call you to this consistency in prayer. And the first thing you're going to notice is when you start praying, if you were feeling previously that sense of emptiness or foreboding or darkness, notice that when you start praying for the first time, that sense of alienation, not being at home, that sense of darkness, that sense of foreboding, it starts to get mitigated. It's literally, you can feel more at home. Things start happening. And I compare it, to, I don't know, if you've ever had a mom or a grandfather or something, who's always playing the radio. So you go over to the house there, and the radio is always playing in the background and so forth. You don't notice that radio after a while. Almost like the radio, just compare it to God's consolation. But boy, if you turn that radio off, the silence would be deafening. I mean, in the sense that you would notice it. And I think that's the way God is. He's there, He's present to us, He's consoling us already. If He weren't there present, believe me, we would be feeling a sense of alienation, of loneliness, of real foreboding, some kind of awfulness, and so forth. It's part of God's protection for us. But if you keep praying, there are going to be those special moments of consolation where you're just going to get a moment of feeling at home with God and everything, or some passage, you might be reading a psalm in the Magnificat, and that thing's just going to blast right off the page, right at you, and you're going to see a truth in it, or feel a sense of home in it. But there's absolutely going to be those little moments of consolation that C.S. Lewis, in his book Surprised by Joy, he called them stabs of joy. That just little moments of being at home, little moments of that sense of sacredness and mystery that sort of kind of come upon you, and then kind of they're very quick. They're not going to interfere with your freedom. They're not going to push you into something that you don't want to voluntarily go to. But God will always be there in your prayers. If you keep praying that rosary, you're going to notice those moments of consolation. But that's not the real reason for praying. The real reason for praying is to stay in connection with God. Because when you stay in connection with God, you're staying in connection with His whole viewpoint of the way things are. And that's what's going to make your moral life easier. You're going to notice the more you pray, the more, it's easier to remain morally strong. It's really true. It's not at the moment. It's just laying the foundations in prayer, that consistency of maybe just 2 decades of the rosary at night, if that's what you're capable of. Do that. Start there. But keep consistent, because what you'll notice is that you're able more and more to deal not only just with temptation, but also sort of to know the right things to do in the situation,
Right.
how Jesus would be doing it. It's a real foundational step. Doesn't promise consolation all the time, but building the foundation is really important, and the consequences, the good consequences of it, you'll see it unfold, especially in your moral life, and especially in wisdom.